Hello, galactic travelers. What's up, everybody? Crazy times we are living in. Crazy times we are growing in. Oh my goodness, there's so much to talk about. So much to talk about. I've got some really cool teachings behind me. It's actually Lemuria teachings that really put everything together that all of us, awakening, ascension coaches, way showers, those of us that have been doing all this work, it really kind of puts it all into the circle of life, and it's teachings that were taught by the Pleiadian mothers, but it's a Lemuria teaching since we were all seeded by Pleiadians. Pleiadians are basically like the next dimension of us. They're the closest to us as far as lineage goes and dimensionality, since there really is no space and time, right? But yeah, so I want to go through this circle of life, and it kept coming up, guys. The circle of life kept coming up because the shifts that are happening. Oh my goodness, the shifts. Let's talk about these shifts. So, the full moon, the eclipse, such a high, such a freedom. And no matter where you are in this process, guys, no matter where you are in this process, whenever you make a big shift, then when your frequency raises and your mind is able to make that shift, we're here, we did it, then what happens is you have some type of shadow aspect. We can call it a shadow aspect. We can, and I'm trying to figure out where I like to sit in this new little setup. Sorry. We can call it a shadow aspect. We can call it the DNA that's releasing, like the karma that's releasing. These other multidimensional parts of ourselves that are basically coming up. Or it could be, the remnants of things in your family. That came up with me today. It's been just like rapid fire on my end. I don't know about you guys. I'm just telling you my experience. And so, yeah, it's been great for the cause, by the way. We're rising. Just don't be scared. Just get out there and tell them who you are. I mean, I'm telling everybody, I'm Cosmic Christy, and we're building this channel, and we're building this website, and we're making it translate. It's going to be so everyone can translate each other, and we can speak to each other all over the world and get more people on that know more about stuff than me, and rise up together. That's my mission here, a big part of it. I got a bunch of little side missions, but that's a big part of it. And the other part is helping get this information out and telling you my story, because if I can do this, anybody can do this. Don't let this fool you. Everyone who knows me knows my life has been really hard, but it was on purpose so I could sit here in front of you guys and tell you you can do it too. So these little shadow parts, we call them the mirrors, because quite literally that's what it is. And so I actually did a video, and I told you guys that I did a video. I didn't know if I was going to release it, and it was because it was on mirrors. And see why it's so cool and why it lends to this Lemurian teaching, because it is one of the spokes. is what we're dealing with right now, no matter what stage you're in. So I want to tell you now a little bit about this Lemurian teaching, and then we'll start talking about the mirrors, and this might go into 2 videos, I'm not sure. Other thing is, real quick before I forget, there are huge disclosure announcements coming out tomorrow. I think a lot of us had known February 2nd was going to be, something was going to happen. I kind of had it in my Rolodex. In fact, my timeline, crazy ass, thought it was February 2nd all day. And it wasn't. But now I understand the Peru, the skulls that were found in Egypt, Peru, okay, the elongated skulls. It's being announced tomorrow, and it was just released, but it's going to be announced at a press conference. The DNA of these skulls was what they're calling the Nephilim, okay? And it's more like the Elohim, right? So that disclosure is happening. Trump's releasing some stuff on the... I mean, stuff is shifting, okay? So don't hang on to anything too strong. And I don't even know if I'm going to get to Lemurian now. I promise I'm going to do a few videos tonight and release them, okay? But this is important. Don't hang on to anything too strong. What do I mean by that? I mean, things are shifting so quickly. If you allow them to and you flow with it, meaning this opportunity pops up and you feel good about it, you discern it, and then you move forward, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're creating. Keep creating. But don't put a definition on it. And this is so hard. I do this all the time, and I kick myself. Don't put a definition on it. Because, okay, let me tell you, so I just told you what I'm working on, and I'm building, website and the evolution. So how things have been shifting for me is that all these meetings are starting to happen, and people are just popping up. When you get into 5D and you're really doing everything from your heart, and you really do just love, then everyone feels it, and it's so wonderful. And so things just start happening. You meet people, and maybe they don't follow up, or you get a meeting and you get so excited, and then you get there because you put an expectation on it. It wasn't at all what you thought it was about, right? And that's how stuff keeps happening. But it always keeps growing, and it always keeps moving. But as a human, we want to put these expectations on people and events, especially if you've been in business like me. It's so hard not to put an expectation on a meeting, because that's how that's what we did as salespeople. That meeting was all about the expectation, and it's completely opposite. So it's reprogramming how you're thinking. So I know it's difficult, but I had to throw that in there because it's very important to not define things, and it's hard, but just remember and think about it. We're conscious beings, so just don't define it. Leave it open, because I guarantee you, whatever definition you put on whatever it is, it ain't near as big as what Source wants you to do, especially if you're watching this channel right now, right? We're here for big reasons. Okay, so there's a lot of disclosure going on tomorrow, so just FYI, keep holding the light. We already shifted, of course, but just, keep your focus, okay? Please. Okay, so Lemurian teaching and the mirror. But I have to tell you a little bit about this. So this is the wheel. They called it the circle of life. As you can see, Rex did these little dots right here. Dun, dun, dun. We're going to talk about what's coming next. So the Lemurians, they called this was the wheel. It was called seeking balance. And this is actually how you can help train your children, or this was taught to children. And then the wheel was just a part of the culture and how they described energy, how they described coming in and out of reincarnation to children in a way that they could understand about energy. And how to balance, you know how we're always talking about balance, balancing everything. Well, this is how to balance life, okay? It's so cool. I'm so excited to talk about it. And the Pleiadian mothers would teach the children. So, you know, that's the other thing. Back in those Pleiadian days, in the future, just period, if you want to think in linear time, but in the future, men and women we have different characteristics. We're better at different things, and that's okay, and we just own it as a conscious being. So you know, the teachers, the priestesses would teach the children, and the men actually would do the hunting and the cooking, because the women were teaching and they were the ones seeking the knowledge because of the intuition and their ability to read energies because of their intuition. Not that the men were any less, but that's just it's you're separated in what you're good at. So the women taught the children, and the whole point was this 5 spokes that create imbalance. And I tried to make it look 5D as possible. So what was really cool is whenever I got this information, I called Goddess Mimi Love, and I was describing it to her, and I said, oh my gosh, it's these teachings, and it makes so much sense, and it talks about the mirror and blah, 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 blah. And I described it to her, and she said, oh my gosh, I stare at my ceiling fan all the time, and I recognize that symbol. And Da Vinci, right? This could be a human form. Head, arms, and a leg, but still having to balance. You can also take a look at this, and I see Tesla in here with 369, right? If this was coming out of the energy, the 9 point. So what the Lemurian said was the atoms, you know, this half was atoms with too much, and this half was the atom with too little. And in the middle was the 6th hole. So with 5 spokes, it creates 6 gaps, fluid areas where energy can flow in and out. With one, that center, this is hollow. And this represents the galactic sun, the great central sun, the center of all learning and the center of all truth. So really there is no numbers. I put a 1 there, but there is no numbers, because in Lemuria and, you know, in the number has the energy and it gives it an importance, but everything on this is of the same importance. I'm just giving these numbers for you guys so that you can see, you know, there's 6 different energy sources. And they would use this wheel, and the children would have it, and as a toy. This was like Mattel made them, right? So every kid had them, and they would put candles in the middle, or an orange, or whatever. Sometimes fire, you know, they'd put it, just whatever the lesson was. Because no matter what, these 5 spokes throughout anybody's life, through ours, anybody's ascension, you can identify at different levels. So it just keeps progressing your learning. The energies are constantly flowing in and out. That's what these circles are. You know, this is just the constant energy points. So I'm not going to go into any details about, you know, later on in the next video, I'll talk about how they broke up the children, as far as ages, when they started separating them, because I know that a lot of us are trying to figure out how to better teach our children, because they know more of this than we do. So this is probably going to look pretty familiar to a lot of them. So, and the ... by the way, the kids are saying it now. It's tripping me out. So ask if you got like an 8, 9, 10-year-old, ask them if they're saying ... It's crazy, but it's how it's all working. It's not me, it's us. Which brings me to my point with the mirror. Thank you. One of these spokes, again, it might not be this one tomorrow. It could be this one down here, because we're a little bit more in balance. We got a little bit more legs underneath us. But right now, that mirror, I wanted to put it up here, but we'll just stand it out here. And what does the mirror mean? Well, the mirror, per the teachings of the Pleiadian priestess and Lemuria, the children, when they learned about the mirror, they didn't understand that much. So they had to describe it more as, when you look at somebody else, they're a mirror of yourself. So whatever you're feeling in your heart, or not, or anger, or joy, or sadness, or depression, or neutrality, whatever you're feeling mirrors back at you through other people. And this is true. This is true. This is us creating our own reality. This is, Mirror 101. But it's really hard to remember that, right? So in the beginning, you're just starting out with thinking positively, creating your own perceptions. You're dealing with your own stuff that's coming up, your emotions, and having to shed that. And then as you progress and you release a lot of the big stuff, and even after we're making this shift, even after we've made the shift, and we know we're free, and I know, we're here, we're not done. We still have these bodies to take with us, right? So little triggers are happening in different ways that are popping up, events. And it's happened several times in the past 3 days. I triggered somebody with the post that I did, which ended up, but see, now we're to the point that within a 30-minute little text session with this person, after something triggered of an event that they hadn't put to bed, they hadn't released it, it was still something that they didn't even realize they were holding on to. And that's what we have to do. But now we're to the point where we can do that in like a matter of 45 minutes to an hour, because we recognize what it is for what it is. And then we realize that it was a lesson to ourselves, and we're done with it. In the beginning, it takes a little bit longer because you're releasing so much. And with this full moon, we released so much. And if that's the first time you've released, holy crap, here's what's going to happen. You're going to feel some elation, and that's exactly what you needed to do. Don't ever doubt that you didn't need to do it. But when there's good, there's bad. Sometimes you got to go through a little bit of crap in order to have the glory, right? In order to have everything that you want, we got to work a little bit. So at least you have us here telling you what's up. So what's up is, if anybody comes into your reality that triggers you to have an emotion of sadness or anger, you need to recognize that it has nothing to do with them. It's you. The world is a mirror to you. So that mirror is just giving you that reaction, like a pain in your hip, like whenever your leg hurts and you need to stop. your body, your reality is mirroring it back at you, so you can deal with it, and that's it. And that's it. So as soon as you go, oh, okay, shit, why I put that, so okay, ooh, maybe I am being a little hypocritical, or maybe I am this, whatever it is, right? But cognize it and then let it go. Feel the emotion and let it go. And as we make these even more major shifts, the mirror becomes a little bit different. So I've experienced this mirror type situation today, and I'll just share it because I know we're at all different levels. I experienced this mirror today with those of us that are ancient star seeds that are awakening, and quite literally we know our StarSeed lineage. We know what star systems we're from. We know how royal our lineage is, and we're also awakening to a lot of realizations of other dimensions that we've lived, and maybe just how far back it goes. And for me, this is something that I had kind of a block, not kind of, I had a block on. And you know, it's one of those things that you know, but you really don't mentally accept. And so as soon as I, mentally accepted it and said it out loud and cognized it for real, then I had like a little emotional breakdown. My body, like I got flustered. I was setting all this stuff up and I got flustered, which normally doesn't happen to me anymore, really. My frequency is usually pretty high, but I just started crying. And I immediately knew it was because I had just made that shift. I had just accepted that information into my reality, due to all the synchronicities and everything that's been happening for months. I mean, don't get me wrong, but these are like the last little, the Sun Soul Tribe, fly, little cosmic dingleberries, fly, fly, fly away. That's what these are. They're like the remnants of these dingleberries. So just depending on how long you've been plucking those things off, it depends on what you're doing. But see, the most important part is that we're all going through this situation. The other thing that I want to add about the mirror, and this is to do with ancestral lines, and this just had a realization today too. Depending on your lineage and the DNA that's unlocking as your vibration and your frequency raises, and you can you're clearing your karma and you're clearing your lineage, remember, because we call in all dimensions of all space and time. We're healing all dimensions of all space and time in our lineage. We ourselves, we can heal all of it if we're calling it in. But there is sometimes, and this is what I don't know for sure, if it's still happening in the new energy, I don't know for sure. But I know for me, I just made realization of some events that happened in my life that I always thought were weird, and those of us like RH negatives, double simians, yeah, we've had some crazy shit happen, like just these crazy experiences. Sometimes they're spiritual, metaphysical. Sometimes it's just like we just get nailed by a car coming out of nowhere, or like we glit, like we have to give extra blood. There's just all these weird things, right? But some of the big ones, what I just put together today was, I was clearing that karma, and that karma wasn't necessarily ancestral as much as. Because, see, it's much easier for us to think, I'm releasing my ancestral karma. It has nothing to do with me. It's what Granny and Grandpa did. That was not the case. and this is another major shift that happened with me today, and so that's why I'm sharing it. It's you, no matter what it is. Mine, straight up, mine was like, I called it a vampire. The the person that I met, it was not necessarily a vampire in that sense. You know, it's a different energy source, but that's what I called it in the old energy because that's all I knew to call it. But, you know, it was just a different line in a different frequency of energy. And so, I mean, we're balancing the whole planet with all the good and bad that's been done in all space and time up until now. And so quite literally, that I realized that whole experience had popped up because that was that was another dimension of myself. Because we're, you know, it's not all cupcakes and candy everywhere. You have to balance out. Remember, there is really no good. There really is no evil. It's all balance within. And whenever you do, then that's whenever you can completely just love and be of the light. But we have to go through some of this dark stuff to get there sometimes, but we're not even consciously doing it, right? It's just that this stuff is popping up in our life as a mirror. Because and if I call it negative, or if I call it evil, or if I call it, you know, instead of just calling it what it was an experience that everything was fine. It's not like I got, you know, what, like I said, it wasn't a vampire towards that sense. It was just that energy. But it made me identify with it so that I could, number one, I had free will in order to go back into that dimension, and I didn't. I had free will and I let it go, and as soon as I did, then I moved out of that. But I didn't realize that until today. I just thought of it as this crazy story that happened to me in 2013, by the way, right after the shift, whenever I started clearing all my ancestral karma. But I didn't even freaking realize it until just now that that's what I was doing. But these experiences were mirroring these events so I could accept or reject them as far as stay in it or move out of it. And I had to release it and not judge it. So that's why I love this wheel. We're going to have these made for sure, and share this information with everybody. So we've got, you know, that's just the mirror. And there's so much more to talk about the mirror. And then we've got these other 4 spokes. And again, no matter how much more entered, so if your mirror's taking over right now, then do the work you need to do right there. Identify it for what it is. Understand the lesson. See if it's in line with where you want to go, because that's your free will decision. And then turn it and move. Right now, you can just keep moving. Turn it and move. Turn it and move. I'm not even kidding you. There's been like 4 of these in the past 2 days with me. Maybe more. But we're here. And that eclipse was amazing, wasn't it? I want to thank all of the all, for we are not small. And what's next? What's next is the evolution revolution, guys. Galactic travelers, get ready. We're way ahead of the game. So now we just have to relearn how to live in the energy. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep working through it. We're going to keep thinking positive. We're going to remember your intent. Always call in your highest timeline of all dimensions and space and time in the now. Don't stay attached to anything. Just let it flow in. Take it in for what it is. Try not to set expectations on it. When you do, forgive yourself and realize that you did. Because for me, they took me a little sidetrack yesterday just to freaking prove that to me. So we're going to learn no matter what. So wish you would have known beforehand. But, you know, it's all the little lessons. But forgive yourself. It's cool. Thank you, Source. Thank you, Source. Thank you, me. Thank you, Higher Self. Thank you, team. And then keep going. All right. And then I have to look. What's next? Ooh, the mirror. We did some of the mirror. And let me close with this. The children didn't understand the mirror until they got older. This is back to the Lemurian, Pleiadian children. See yourself and God together in the mirror. And don't look at God. You look at others looking for God and yourself and others. Your reflection of Gaia, your reflection of nature, your reflection of everything you love can be seen in your mirror. Because that's the other end of it. That's quantum energy. So once your mirror's been all polished off and kind of just a little bit, even just when you get a little bit around over here, like, ooh, I see a bling, I see some light. You start seeing it. You start feeling it. And then you know you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing, and then you keep going. So remember that mirror works the other way. I don't only want to talk about what we go through, right? Let's talk about the reward. The reward is you see yourself and God together in a mirror when you're looking at yourself. And don't look at God. You look at others looking for God, and you yourself and others. So you're looking for God in others, and they're looking for God in you. And our hearts are so open that they can feel it. And that's how we're taking back this planet, galactic travelers. All right. I'm going to do one more video right now. Well, I'm going to try. I'll upload this one and I'll record another one, get another spoken right now, okay? Thank you for hanging on. Can I get a hoot hoot? And a frequency jolt, just one. All right. Love you guys. See you soon. Please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps build, really does, helps the tribe. See you soon. Oh, that was some Pleiades hertz in the background. I'll post them on my Facebook page. Bye.